To reconvene our meeting.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call vote, please.
Marquez? Yes. Miller?
Yes.
Palmer?
Yes.
Pettit?
Yes.
Wallstaff?
Yes.
All right, well, I'd like to welcome everyone here tonight. It's good to see such a great turnout. We did officially start our meeting down in the Media Center with our flag salute and establishing quorum, that we recessed so we could come in here and join all of you. I will start, since the first item on our agenda after the flag salute is the public input on our Return to Learn plan. I know we have a few people who have signed up to address the board. I believe we have a microphone down here. If you could approach the microphone whenever Cassie calls your name. And I think everyone did receive public participation guidelines when you signed in outside. If you didn't, we can get a copy of that to you. Basically, each person has 3 minutes, and we ask that you please do not criticize individuals or engage in disruptive behavior. I'm sure that will not be an issue, but just wanted to remind you of those things. So 3 minutes. I do have a timer that I will operate, and Cassie will call the names in order. So let's get started.
Tawny Chesney?
Good evening.
Should be, hard to see it right on top. There should be a on, off.
Yep.
Got it?
Hello. Hello. There it is.
Is it?
Yep.
Okay,
Hear
there
me?
it is.
I'm Tawny Chesney, and I have 2 boys currently here at the school, one in kindergarten and one in 3rd grade. All right. Bethany has always been an extremely desirable district for families. You've set some high standards at the school with excellent test scores, the National Blue Ribbon School, and I know many others, but haven't been here that long to know all those. How can we continue to be a unique school that rises above COVID? Can we be an example to other districts that it is possible? Can we set a new standard as a leader so that others will follow? I come to you as a parent of a Bethany Elementary student asking what our plan is to move forward. You are the leaders of the school, and you're going to determine which route we take as a community to beat this. Everyone knows you chose the best option last fall when we didn't have any knowledge, we didn't have vaccines, or experience with COVID. But now we have all those things. As our leaders, you guys are the ones that get to decide where we're going to go from here. How are we going to get past this? How and when is it going to end? We have 10 in-person school days left. I know that doesn't seem like a whole lot, and why is it worth changing something right now? Why would we risk that? But could those 10 days be used as a testing ground for optional masking policies? During those last few days, could we get a better glimpse at what the fall could look like? Would you, as our leaders, feel better about making a long-term decision next school year if you know how those 10 days went? I hope you'll take into consideration these questions when determining what the end of this year will look like, along with the fall. Our past leaders have set a high standard for our school and our community. I hope we don't let just one problem erode all that has been accomplished here. I hope you'll consider letting each family decide what is the best option for their child when it comes to masking. I hope you're ready to move forward and figure out how we can put the pandemic behind us. Thank you.
Bethany Staton?
Hi, I have 3 kids in school. We absolutely love it. I have a freshman, I have a 5th grader, and a 2nd grader. And I'd first like to say thank you. Thank you, administration, teachers, staff, and board. I know you've met multiple times outside of the regular meetings. I know you've navigated through uncharted waters this past year. This has not been an easy year for anyone, but especially our students. It's time to take these masks off. We've reached the goalpost that you guys have set of getting vaccinated. Everyone at this point has chosen to be vaccinated or can still go get vaccinated. The teachers and staffs are all fully vaccinated, so let's let our kids breathe freely if they so choose. Because let's be honest, these masks are doing nothing. They're getting dirty, the kids are playing with them, they're ripping them, they're chewing on them, and they're just a huge distraction. The kids have dealt with this long enough, and I would love for them to be able to see each other's faces and to know what their teacher actually looks like. It's time to get back to celebrating their accomplishments, taking field trips, letting each student experience the grade to its full potential. Our kids have missed out on so many experiences for like the full week of Camp Classic, the land run like it's normally done, senior trip, sensational citizen reward to incredible pizza, which I know is super important to my second grader. And the list goes on. Enough is enough. To quote Dr. Noel Williams with Optimal Health Associates, he states, as of May 1st, we are no longer in a pandemic, rather sporadic cases that will be forever in our society. So let's get back to the science of it all and quit letting fear control the decisions we are making. And according to the study done at MIT, which I'd be happy to email any of you, the masks were not really even helping. They may have helped a little, but really what mattered was how long each person is in a room. So that being said, by a college known for research, can we just assess where we are? The fact that we can't even produce numbers to use our matrix that was set in place. So let's just work on please getting our kids back to some normal and removing the masks. Thank you.
Jonathan George.
Hello, I'm Audra, and I have a sixth grader and a third grader at the school. So first of all, I would like to start off by saying what these other ladies have said, that we love this school, its staff, and the board. We feel so lucky to be a part of it. It's been a tough year for everyone, but things are improving day by day. I feel like it's time to reevaluate where we are at when it comes to masks. I see why you implemented what you did. When the virus first started, there was so much unknown, and you all did what you deemed necessary to keep your staff and your students safe. And I say thank you for that. But we are here now, a year later, and many things have changed. I beg you to listen to the concerns tonight, reconsider the data, and where we are at now for the sake of the kids. I have several points that I'd like you to consider. The first one, everyone 18 and over in the state of Oklahoma has had ample opportunity to get vaccinated if they so choose. What is the point of vaccinations if masks are still needed? Wasn't that the final goal, the vaccinations? Number two, COVID numbers, and especially COVID deaths, are getting less and less. My father is actually a family practice physician who has treated hundreds of COVID patients. He has seen no new cases in over 2 months. Most of us have either had the virus and have some immunity, or again, have had the vaccine. Number three, in general, kids are very low risk for sickness and complications with the virus. Number four, many of the boxes of masks that we're wearing every day actually say on the box, and I quote, are not proven to reduce transmission of disease. I think this is something we should consider, and I have a picture if you would like to see it. Number five, over the last year, many studies have come out due to the virus, and now I'm starting to see some that have come through that are showing the detrimental side effects of long-term mask use. These include decreased oxygen levels, increased headaches, increased stress, anxiety, depression, and the list goes on. So I turn the question to you all. Why masks? Are we continuing forward because that's what we've done for the last year and that's what others are doing? Or do we have reasons and research to back up what we're doing with our kids? I believe where we're at the stage of the game, that we should at least have the right to choose what is best for our kids when it comes to masks. Thank you for listening.
Nikki Lloyd.
Good evening. My name is Nikki Lloyd. I'm the mayor of Bethany. and I'm also very short. When I look around, I see a room divided. Friends and family, they've cut ties because we don't fall into the same group. Communities are full of anger, including ours. We point fingers at one another. We're divided into anti-maskers and mask Nazis. Those are the official terms that have been coined, I think, and that's a sad thing because it is very divisive. I think it stopped being about COVID a long time ago. That's not really a part of the conversation though. I do want to talk about this though. When I met with Drew recently, we talked about how Bethany is a #3 school in the state, which is incredible. And that means too though that the decisions that you make have a large impact in the metro area. You've chosen to go in the opposite direction of this municipality. Bethany never had a mask mandate. You're now in opposition of the surrounding metro area, which allowed the mask mandate to expire. So I want to talk about the kids. The number of children and teenagers seeking help for anxiety or depression during the pandemic is rising across the country. The CDC found that the percentage of children ages 5 to 11 seeking mental health care at emergency departments in 2020 increased by 24% from 2019. For children ages 12 to 17, mental health related emergency room visits increased to 31% over the previous year. One national survey of 3,300 high school students conducted early in the pandemic showed that 30% felt unhappy and depressed much more than usual. School closures, stay-at-home orders, and shutdowns of businesses deemed non-essential are contributing to surging rates of depression and suicide among young people, as well as rising incidences of drug overdoses and related deaths. So tonight, before you vote, please ask yourself what you're actually voting for. Because if the decision is to continue mandating children and staff to wear medical devices for 6 to 8 hours a day, my opinion is that it's fear-based and not for the good of the children. Throughout history, when a vaccine is disseminated to the general population, habits return to normal. That doesn't appear to be happening with COVID. Perhaps it's time to ask ourselves why, but until then, after 16 grueling months, I implore you to give these kids a chance to just be kids. Let them enjoy what's left of their school year free of fear and injuries.
Thank you. Times 6, 7, Cassie. You are superstars at Bethany Schools. You care for us and you love us well. As a parent, first, then practice teacher, and cheerleading coach at BHS, and as a Bethany in-district resident, taxpayer, and voter. And just for fun, a Bethany alumni, having grown up in this school since 1975, and my mom teaching here the entire time. I love this place. I love the heart of Bethany Schools. I'm speaking as a teacher who's required to wear a mask in my classroom when students are present 4 days a week. And if you're an individual who is not required to wearing a mask all day, it may be hard to understand the barrier that exists between teaching and learning while wearing masks. And it may not be that big of a deal to you if you've never experienced this or have a private office or a place to escape, or you aren't teaching students. It is a big deal. Students long to be heard, and in my class, we are in constant small group learning environments, talking, laughing, disagreeing, collaborating, cooking, building relationship. Requiring the masking of student and teacher faces has been a barrier this year, and we have pursued ways around the obstacles. We would have a much more successful learning environment if the students could remove them when learning, just like they remove them when eating. COVID numbers in our school and city are low. In fact, last week there was 1 positive case in the entire school, and a few weeks ago there was 0. The facts outweigh the fears. Students can and do survive this virus. It would be safe to say that we can offer a choice to our students and teachers as to whether they wear a mask or not. I propose if students are in their classrooms sitting at their desks or tables, they can choose whether to remove them. As they transition through the hallways, they can put them on. Let's remember, facts should trump feelings when it comes to what is best for our student body. To feel concerned or afraid is not a reason to keep a policy in place when the policy is no longer useful, helpful, or beneficial to our student body. We know that students are not the super spreaders. We know students aren't the super transmitters. They don't transmit the virus to teachers either, and vice versa. We know the school is a safe environment. In an eating establishment like a restaurant, patrons may walk in wearing a mask, may choose to remove upon sitting. It's a place where we talk, laugh, disagree, collaborate, build relationship. We are all going to restaurants with our friends and families and removing masks upon sitting. And we know and believe this is okay, this is acceptable because we believe it is truth. And yet the classroom is so much more essential than eating out of the restaurant, right? It's an environment where students should breathe easy, speak out, use facial expressions that their teachers can see, that their fellow students can see, smile and be seen, frown and be noticed. These are all important, and let's pay attention. Our school is an essential place of learning. Our students are essential people. It's always been about the students, but we made it about us. We're gonna be okay, school board and administration. And again, thank you for listening. It's a privilege, a gift that you've given to us to let us speak. I thank you for that and for all that you do. Let's always base decisions on what is beneficial and put our students first.
Catherine Tabor.
Hi, my name is Catherine Tabor. I have 3 children in the district. I have a junior, I have an 8th grader, and I have a 4th grader. And just like everyone else has started off saying, I would like to thank you for letting us speak. I know it is a privilege to get up here and speak in front of you, so thank you for that. We all know what a hard year this year has been for everyone, teachers, administrators, parents, but no one has had it harder than our children. They have dealt with so much and quite honestly lost so much. They lost out on getting to participate in fun events and programs. They have lost out on days in school. They have lost out on learning opportunities. However, the biggest thing they have lost out on is seeing friendly faces of their fellow peers and their teachers. The masks have affected kids in so many ways. I keep hearing how the kids have handled this well, better than adults have handled the mask. And that may be true, but they've handled it because we didn't have another choice. Our kids want to be in school, but they want to and deserve to see faces of their friends. Please give us the choice. Our teachers have all had the opportunity to get vaccinated if they chose to do so. They are protected. Now it is time to protect the mental health of our children. Bethany is different, like everyone else has said. There's a reason people are banging our doors down to get into this district. We are different. Let us set a precedent for other districts. It's time for us to be a leader among districts. It is time for Bethany Public Schools to say enough is enough. We have compromised all year and sent our kids to school in masks, even if we didn't agree with their effectiveness. Please give us the options now. Teachers and parents who choose to mask can do so. I'm simply asking for a choice. I'm asking for you to give our kids a chance to love school again, and I'm asking for Bethany to lead. Thank you.
Amy Sharola.
Hi, my name is Neely Sharola, and I'm a sophomore here at Bethany. I would like for my voice to be heard since I'm one of the kids wearing a mask at school 7 hours a day. I would like the choice to take my mask off at my desk. When I wear my mask, sometimes I get a headache and I can't breathe. If I pull my mask down to get a breath of fresh air, I am afraid I will get in trouble by a teacher. When I have my mask on, it makes it hard for me to focus on my schoolwork because I'm always worried about the mask. I also really miss seeing my friends smile. I believe it should be my choice of how to take care of my body and how I learn best by being able to breathe fresh air at my desk. I would hope that my school would value how I feel along with other students before making a decision that affects me. Thank you.
Bethany Worthington.
Hi, my name is Stephanie Hoisington. Thank you for allowing me the opportunity to get up and speak tonight. I camped out 6 years ago with the highest hopes of getting my kids into Bethany schools. I have a 6th, 5th, and 2nd grader. There is a reason why people go to great lengths to try to be a part of this community. We truly have the best teachers, principals, support staff, etc. I am grateful to be a part of it in all of the ways the school sets itself apart from others. As everyone has said, this has been a long and hard year for everyone. I know the decisions you all have to make come with a heavy price tag. In my opinion, that price tag has been heavily influenced by one side of the mask debate. If the real numbers and the science of the actual virus itself was truly taken into consideration, then our kids would have been out of masks a long time ago, or at least given a choice. It has been scientifically proven that children do not contribute much to the spread of COVID. If we take the political correctness out of this and truly look at the health of our kids, who you all claim to be the driving forces in your decisions, then please take the masks off of our children. If you're going to put the doctors you choose to listen to regarding the virus on a pedestal, then you also have to put the doctors who have continuously talked about the mental health of our kids up on that same pedestal. This goes so much deeper than the virus. In my email I wrote to you, I mentioned that the petition going around right now was signed by real people with real concerns. When is it our turn to be heard? The people on the other side of this argument have been met with every opportunity that best served them this year, and our kids have put their brave faces on, hidden behind their masks, and carried on. We talk about how resilient our kids are. We can't let our kids' resilience justify playing upon that skill, and not all kids are as resilient as we think. They had no choice but to show up every single day with their masks on, sit at their desks, and try to focus all day, and also be expected to learn something at the same time. This has to stop. It is time for our kids to get a victory. We now have a vaccine that every staff member has had the opportunity and the choice to get. A vaccine that only protects against the virus, but doesn't protect against the damage that has been done to so many of our youth's mental health. If the science says the vaccine works, then please take the masks off of our kids and send them to school every day. If the science says the vaccine works, then please make all activities and programs available again, and not just the ones that make our school money and that some deem important. So many of our kids have missed out on things this year that were important to them. We can't say a basketball game and Footloose are okay, but the land run isn't. It's not fair. The healing process has to start. It is time to stop exploiting our children to fit an agenda that weighs heavily on one side of this argument. Those of us on this side have complied with everything asked of us this year and asked of our children. I understand having fear and am very empathetic to everyone that has been affected by this pandemic. My family has been greatly affected, but at what point do we look at the bigger picture and make decisions based on the new information that comes out every day? Thank you.
I'll go ahead and let you guys have these as well. You'll see in the back of that there are 67 different references from the CDC, from NIOSH, from the National Institute of Allergy, American College of Sports Medicine. This white paper has Fauci in it as well. At the end of the day, what this medical hypothesis and what they've gone through there at the cardiovascular division of the VA in Palo Alto and Stanford University came out with this, going through all these different studies and actually how masks are harmful, detrimental to us. Actually, 99% of all detected cases are asymptomatic and have mild conditions. What we're learning is actually wearing these masks actually is what's going to continue to make things worse. If you want to do a little research on your own, you'll find that Dr. Fauci came out with a report back about 15 to 20 years ago that talked about the 1918 Spanish flu and about how that was continued, and that the thing that perpetuated that was continual mask wearing, because as you continue to wear your mask, bacteria, humidity, the oxygen levels go down, all that stuff continues to, you continue to breathe that over and over. And if you want to look through this study here, actually the viruses itself is, let's see, right here, the virus is 140 nanometers, which is a billionth of a meter, while medical and non-medical masks range from 55 micrometers to 440 micrometers. That's 1,000 times difference. That's like coming in here and knocking that entire wall out and saying, hey, do you think that'll keep the bugs out of this room if we have 3 walls, or knock that window out? I don't care. You're not going to keep the bugs out of this school by knocking a window out. The same thing. These masks are proven over and over. Viruses go straight through them because they're created to stop particulates. Particulates coming out. That's why surgeons wear them, and so that they don't get particulates into the patient. These masks that you guys are wearing are harmful to you. They're not helping you at all. And the studies in here show that. And I'm not going to go through it because I only have 3 minutes. But at the end of the day, maskers, anti-maskers are both going to come up here, and they're both going to use science, and they're both going to have their different things that they're going to talk about. But the fact of the matter is, we got science on one side that says, hey, wear a mask. We got science on the other side that says, don't wear a mask. Science is now politicized. I can take numbers and make them do whatever you want. But at the end of the day, you've got to look at things from a point of our Constitution, freedom of speech, and freedom for our children. And that's the thing that we really want to make sure, is that we have freedom to do what we feel is best for our children.
Hi there. My name's Elizabeth. I have 3 kids, a 7th grader, a 5th grader, and a kindergartner. Last month, a Freedom of Information request was presented to the CDC. It simply asked, the CDC continues to claim that masks stop the spread of the virus. Can you please show the science? Do they have a randomized control trial proving that cloth face coverings stop the spread of the virus? Does the CDC have a randomized control trial that shows that 2 masks stop the spread of the virus, or COVID-19? The CDC's response was, the CDC is not aware of any randomized control trial that shows that masks or double masks or cloth face coverings are effective against COVID-19. There are experimental data, as described below, showing that masks block particles, not the virus. Although there is significant argument and very little, if any, evidence that masks are effective, that is not my fight today. Today, my fight is for our kids' safety. Do you know that there is not a single study that shows that these face coverings are safe for our kids? In fact, every study that has been done shows the opposite. Of the multiple studies that are available on the subject, every study showed an increased risk of some or all of the following conditions with extended mask use: shortness of breath, decreased oxygen levels in blood, increased CO2 levels, a decline in pH levels, acidosis, toxicity, inflammation, self-contamination, increase in stress hormones, including adrenaline and cortisol, increased muscle tension, increased immunosuppression, which I can speak for, my son is immunocompromised, activation of fight or flight stress response, chronic stress condition, fear, mood disturbances, insomnia, fatigue, compromised cognitive performance, increased predisposition for viral and infection illnesses, headaches, depression, hypertension, cardiovascular disease, exacerbation of existing conditions and diseases, severe increase in mental health conditions and suicide attempts, as well as suicide. Think on that for a minute. Could it be that our attempt to keep our kids safe is doing the exact opposite? My children have been victim of many of these consequences. In addition to this, my 7th grade son has never been in trouble for anything at school. He's been a great student with an excellent behavior record until this year. He has been sent to the principal repeatedly and consistently harassed and vilified by certain teachers to stop drinking water. He's drinking water too often in class. To chew his food with his mask over his face, as they have snack times in class, and his teacher makes him chew his food with his mask over his face. And then to pull his mask over his nose after it slips down naturally. They're making it a crime to breathe. What are we doing to our kids? We're teaching them that they're bad kids because they need a breath of fresh air. We're teaching them that their health doesn't matter, only our fear does. It is time to remove the mandate tonight, not August, tonight. There is great risk of many health consequences, and as long as there is risk, there must be choice. Parents' choice, not your choice, parents' choice.
Hi, my name is Amy Saylor, and I am a teacher here at Bethany. And I also have 3 kids here at Bethany. Ben and Emma are in middle school, and Brooke is a senior this year. And we were super nervous about what her senior year would be like because of COVID. But as it turns out, I'm super thankful. This is going to sound like a brag session, sorry, but She was able to be in all-state for choir. She was able to go to swim state. She has also been able to do show choir competitions and concerts. She was a part of the musical, and she was part of the all-school assembly. So looking at, we're in May now, so looking back, I've seen so many good things, and I'm so thankful. And I'm thankful for you guys and for the procedures that you put into place, because all of these things that she was able to do, she has done with modifications, masks on all of them. And then, you know, when she's competing, swimming, she takes it off clearly, but then the OSSA had them put on masks around the pool as well afterwards. And she's been able to do all of this. So her senior year has not been such a total bust, and I'm so thankful for that. My whole concern, and the reason I'm coming up here, is as a senior mom, if we, and I'm all about considering it in August, which sounds really terrible because she just said do it now and not in August, but I'm all about, as a senior mom, doing it maybe in August. But my concern really is that if we implement it tomorrow, then my girl and her friends might not be able to do their prom, their senior prom. They didn't even get a prom last year. That my girl might get exposed in our classes that are still, you know, classes going on, and then not be able to do, well, ultimately graduation, and that affects all of our seniors. But also her friends might not be able to go on to the next level. Here's hoping that we win tonight in soccer going on, that they would be quarantined and they would miss their state soccer game. And track, where we have plenty of athletes that have qualified for our state track meet. So my thing is I am over the mask as well. I would love to teach and see their faces. I would love all of this. But my heart tonight is to ask you to consider keeping the policies in place for the next 10 days so that our seniors can finish strong and go through graduation. And I think that's it. Thank you so much. And I'm not against any of you. I mean, none of you. I'm the only one who has voiced anything different, but I just want you to know I'm for you, and there's so many of you guys that love. I just love you. So, thanks so much.
Alyssa Gilmore.
Thank you for all your work this year to make decisions for our kids. We have 4 kids in school here across the 3 buildings. And our kids wear masks when running in a gym for sports because we've asked them to do that, and there's no breath impediment. They have not struggled. They don't want to wear a mask, but they understand why we're wearing masks, and they are supportive. Cases are down because people wear masks. If we stop wearing them in small classrooms with lots of students, they will go back up. What an unnecessary thing for the remaining 10 days. Have you noticed that there have been almost no cases of flu or strep this year? Ask a pediatrician. Masks work. We have 2.5 weeks left. They've done it so far. They can finish the year. There will not be harmful consequences for continuing to wear them for 10 days because there haven't been any life-threatening problems with wearing them for the last 9 months. There are more contagious strains now than there were when we started this. The American Academy of Pediatrics said just today that the number of cases of kids have gone up from 3% a year ago to 20% today. Kids don't have a choice to be vaccinated. I'm so glad that all of the adults have this choice. I'm vaccinated, but our kids don't have that choice yet. There are long-term health consequences from having COVID, even if you have a minor case, even if you're not in a hospital, and certainly if you don't die, there is still trouble, lifelong trouble for people, and I don't know that my kids won't have that problem if they get it. I want everyone's kids to finish strong, not continue to cycle in and out of quarantine, and not worry about getting sick for their last 10 days. Our society has always prided itself on working together for the common good. Bethany School Society has always been known for working together for the common good. If even one person doesn't get sick, my personal inconvenience will be worth it. I wear a seatbelt, I wear a seatbelt to protect myself, but we don't allow drunk drivers to protect other people. You cannot control what will happen if someone gets the virus that you pass to them. We live in a moral society that lets us have free choice, but the second part of that societal contract is that we accept the consequences of our decisions, and we won't have the knowledge or the ability to fix those consequences if someone else gets sick. I want to raise my kids to see what good civic cooperation looks like. I want to teach them that looking out for everyone is what makes us good. Thank you.
Elizabeth Creed.
Thank you all. I'm going to echo what so many have said. We're so appreciative to have the opportunity to stand up and speak for you guys. And like so many others, we felt like we won the lottery, the actual lottery, when we found out that our kids were lucky enough to be students here at Bethany Elementary. Well, my kids are at the elementary, but at Bethany Public Schools. I wrote and rewrote a speech a million times today, and then I decided to leave it at home and throw it out the window. The bottom line is, as we've seen, that we can exhaust this debate on what's healthy, safe, not safe, or whatever. It's been difficult this year for me to explain to my kids why, even with the mask mandate, they don't get to do the Nutcracker. They don't get to do these things. So all this, you know, I'm so happy for the seniors that have had the opportunity to have these experiences, but my kids have been robbed of those. So we've said that the masks aren't safe enough, that they get to do all of these really fun things. So what's the point of wearing them if it's not even going to allow them the luxury of doing these things? They don't get to see smiling faces. They don't get to share those moments with their classmates. You can find the science, as was said earlier, on both sides. So what it comes down to is a personal decision and what is best for the individuals and the individual families. We have spoken about how this is a country of freedom. So we're asking for the freedom to be able to make the choice of what is best for our kids, for our individual families. And yes, they have said that it doesn't impair your ability to breathe and all of those things, but my daughter believes that it does. Ask a claustrophobic person that's trapped in a confined space if they can breathe or not breathe, but their physiological response is saying, I can't breathe, I'm in panic. And their body is going to respond as such. So I ask you to please consider letting these children see their friends' faces, not fear their friends anymore, get to see smiles, get to interact, and just please let them remove their masks and breathe freely. Thank you.
Chad McCamey.
All right, let's see how this goes. I'm really here out of compassion and curiosity. So I've got a 7.5-year-old, she's first grader in the school. God willing, we'll have a pre-K in next year. And didn't expect this. So we'll see how this goes. Okay, as a parent, you know, Mr. Ackerberg, I sent you an email in August when we changed the mask mandates and said there's nothing that lights up a room like a kid's smile. And it's really, really sad for me to think that this entire year, the rooms have been so dark. You know, there's so much joy that comes in a 7-year-old smile. A lot of times it's toothless. Right now we're missing one up front. But there's so much joy in a kid's smile. So I grew up in sports, played college golf, and I kind of relate this year to getting in trouble with your coach. When your coach says, go run a lap, okay, you can actually handle that. But when your coach just says, go run, and I'll tell you when to stop, it's miserable. And that's kind of how this whole school year has felt. We, and I'm speaking we just as myself and my family. We feel like there's been no kind of target, no metric of when we know what we're looking for. So, it's just really, it's been a long year. I think everybody can agree with that. And administrators, I know you guys can agree with that. So, on a personal note, as I said, my little girl, Emery, she's in Miss Morris's first grade class. First off, I didn't want to be here. And I didn't know that I was going to speak until I got up to the line. But as a parent and as a dad, I thought it was important for you guys to know that it's not just moms that are upset. It's parents, it's dads too. So Emery, recently she was diagnosed with activity-induced asthma. Now, my family, my mom has asthma, or had asthma as a child. My brother has asthma, but Kendall, my wife Kendall and I, we don't have asthma. So she started out the year with no asthma, no anything, and she's recently been diagnosed with activity-induced. So now she has to take 2 inhalers each day just to make it through PE. So John Maxwell said, character creates consistency. And if your people know what to expect from you, they'll continue to look for you for leadership. I think as a school district, we would love to see some consistency. When our high school athletes don't have to use a mask, but our elementary school kids have to run around in a lap in masks and PPE.
Well, thank you for your service to the district. I certainly wouldn't have wanted to have been in your shoes this year. It's been a tough year for everyone. I didn't really have a speech like a bunch of people, but I've got a kindergartner and a 3rd grader, and I've never had to drag one of them out of the vehicle. There's been a couple times this year. It's just been a really hard year. It seems like the mask have made things really impersonal. Obviously made some events not possible, but my kids behave pretty well, and it's just been kind of a drag. I've never had to feel, school's never felt like a chore for them. I've never had to, try to coerce them to go and had, arguments with them. So it'd be nice to have the choice to move forward with masks and try to get back to some sort of normal. And I don't know what this is more of a comment, but I don't know what the plans are for virtual learning in the future, for inclement weather days, et cetera, other reasons we might take those. But my 3rd grader took, some of these virtual days were harder than a regular school day. 7-8 hours without PE and bathroom breaks and lunch and all of that. So if virtual days are going to continue in the future, I think the plan and the time that goes into executing those days, and I've not been at home, my wife's been at home trying to help walk our 2 kids through those, but some of those virtual days are much harder potentially than a regular school day. So again, thank you for volunteering your time on the school board. I know it's been a very tough year for all of us.
Lydia Griner.
I'm a 5th grader at Bethany, and my teacher takes off her mask every day, whereas I have to wear it nonstop, and it's not very mean to the rest of the rest of the students at all. He's given us the choice to wear it or not. I miss my friends' faces.
My name is Katie Griner, and I have 4 kids that attend school here. I'm just going to kind of speak on my experience. I have a 7th grader who's been quarantined 6 or 7 times this year, and that's with a 6-foot gap. So Amy, there is no guarantee that prom or graduation will happen unless we stop following to the T what the CDC is saying. We can, you guys, can make the rules for this school. We don't have to continue to quarantine healthy kids. I have subbed quite a few times in the middle school and high school as a way to help. Clearly, teachers and staff and people in the administration building don't seem to have a concern for COVID anymore because quite a few of them are not wearing their masks correctly or even at all. And I just think that the double standard is not right for our children, and to expect them to have to wear their mask and not get a break other than lunch. And the middle school isn't even getting a break at recess these days. So I please ask that you give us the choice as to what we want to do with our children. Thanks.
Stephen Calderon.
Good evening. Start off, thank you, Lord, for your service that you've given to the Bethany Public School. I'm Stephen Calderon. I've got 4 kids here in Bethany Public School, 2 since pre-K that are now sophomore and a 7th grader. 2 that came in later on in the process, but we've got 4 kids in the school district. I'm here just to advocate, just like everybody has said prior to me coming up here, is we need mass choice. There's been several points pointed out of science of this side and that side. We need to get down to just the choice of the family. What is your family think that you should do for your children and what's best for them? If you've been vaccinated and you still want to wear a mask, wear a mask. If your family wants to wear a mask and you haven't been vaccinated, that's your choice. We on this side don't have that choice right now. Everything's been put down our throat to say you have to follow the rules that we put in place. And at first, that's fine. We had no idea what was going on. Now we have a lot of stuff to know where and what lies where. So it should be our choice as family. I don't think any activities will be missed if a kid is not wearing a mask. If a teacher is vaccinated and doesn't wear a mask, or allows kids to not wear a mask in her class because she's vaccinated, I don't think that's going to affect anything. So I'm saying please allow our kids to have the choice to take their masks off. I think we need to set the precedence this year for the beginning of next year. I don't think this should go on at day one.
I've never been a rock star, so this is like my new chance to be on stage, so thanks for that. So, I want to say how great it is to be a part of Bethany. We've been here for a long time, and I have a senior, and I also have an 8th grader, and I just want to say that Bethany is such a unique place, much, I guess, like some parts of America, where we can all come in here and have different opinions and have different views, but I can still take you to coffee and watch a baseball game with you and still know that you love me and love my family, even though we may not agree on everything. Saying that, 5 years ago I was diagnosed with stage 4 cancer. I was given 3 months to live. And I had people ask me, people will ask you crazy things whenever you have cancer, but I had a guy come up and ask me, oh my gosh, you got diagnosed with cancer, you're gonna die. What's on your list of things to do? And the question was actually easy for me to answer because I didn't have any aspirations of jumping out of an airplane or going to the Grand Canyon or riding a bull. When I was diagnosed and they told me I had 3 months to live, the only thing I could think about was spending time with my kids and watching their milestones and watching their things. I just wanted to see them. And so every milestone became something in my fight. I would say, let's just live long enough to make it to 8th grade graduation.
Let's live long enough to get Charlie into middle school. Let's live long enough to get Charlie Peyton into high school. First football game, last football game. I just kept thinking, let's just live long enough to see this. Jesus, just let me live long enough to see that. I come to you today not as a sick person asking for help, not to contract COVID. Luckily, I'm like you, I've been vaccinated. I'm still going through chemotherapy, so COVID is still real, and I know for my family, when I go out, it's important for us to protect me, regardless if it's from COVID or the flu or cold. We'll take those precautions ourselves. But I come to you as a mom of a senior boy who, you guys may think that you're the only ones in elementary who have missed things, but high school kids have missed a lot too. We've missed prom, we missed an entire baseball season last year, which selfishly was important to us because we were trying to get recruited to go play college baseball. We didn't have a baseball season. We missed basketball games, we missed school dances, we missed opportunities to enjoy school concerts, to watch friends, and we even missed the simple times of just being able to shoot the breeze with people in the hallways with each other. These milestones are important to every student. These milestones are important to mamas and daddies and grandparents, and they're important to a fighting mama like me. If we decide to give up masks in the school and are faced with additional avoidable quarantines, all because we could not be patient enough to wait it out to the end of school that's less than a month away, what a travesty. These seniors rely on all of us. I hate masks and I don't like them, but I'm just asking you, just let's be patient and give it 10 more days and just go from there. Thanks.
Matt Goodwin.
Good evening, my name is Matt Goodwin. I'm a dad of two girls, most importantly, two girls here at the school, City Council for the City of Bethany, and just want to thank you for your leadership during this past year. Realize that it's often thankless and there's been difficult decisions through much that has evolved. So I trust tonight, as has been evident in the leadership this year, that you have researched and are following the latest things that are happening in Michigan, latest things that are happening in India in terms of increased cases, that there's still a risk. And so I would just say tonight, sincerely thank you for your leadership and to consider going for just a few more days. Obviously be reevaluated over the summer for next school year, but appreciate your leadership. I don't like to think of it as sides. There's people that, even though I disagree a lot on this topic, that I still have great respect for in this auditorium. So thank you.
I think that is it. I want to say thank you to everyone, for those of you who did speak. I appreciate that, and for those of you who came to listen, we appreciate all of you. We will start with item number 4, which is discussion and possible action to approve, modify, or not to approve the 2021 Return to Learn Plan. So we will start with discussion.
So you were just speaking about the masks. Any other part? Whatever.
Talk about it, but I think the master what everybody wants to know about.
Yeah.
Which I really appreciate. I think it's really important. I think this has been,
Could you use the microphone so we can hear you guys talk? Thank you.
I would say that I think,
Maybe.
Maybe not. I think, in all the years I've been on the board, this will be 11 years, I've never seen anything that's had this much input, and I really appreciate it. It's a great process. So it is a process. It's been a process for all of us. So my thoughts, I'd like to modify it. I don't know. I would like to modify it. I would like to either do one of two things. I would either like to offer it to be an option, mask to be optional, or just a compromise. You know, if they're at their desk, they can take them off. If they're in the hallways, they can put them on. You know, do something, compromise. That's my take on it. Because as to the quarantine, it doesn't matter if you have a mask on or not. They're not going to ask. It's just you're quarantined. So if somebody gets COVID in the next 2-3 weeks, it doesn't matter if you have a mask on or not. They're not going to say, oh, you had a mask. Everyone around them is going to be quarantined, and we cannot control whether someone gets COVID or not in the last few weeks.
That's true. I do want to point out, though, that our current guidelines for the quarantine show that it's a 3-foot rule.
Yeah.
So someone who is with masks currently. That's right. With no masks, if parties are not wearing masks, that quarantine guideline goes out to 6 feet. So that would effectively double the number of students that would be quarantined if we had a student who was positive.
If we want to
change
follow
that.
this, if we want to follow that.
Correct. But that's what
As a recommendation.
all along, absolutely. And it has worked thus far. And so anyway, that's change with the quarantine that would happen with masks, no masks rather.
That's good. So,
Well, I'll jump in and say with a totally different opinion, Heather, but I am in full support of keeping the mask through the end of the school year. As we've said, we only have 10, maybe 12 days left, and it is important, as so many of our visitors have said, that they don't want their kids to miss things. And I do believe that students would miss out on a lot. There's a possibility that students could miss out on testing, they could miss out on prom, they could miss out on graduation. And I don't feel like it's worth it to sacrifice that just for not wearing masks. That is something that I feel very strongly about, at least for this school year. And I do think that we need to look at that again over the summer and see where we are in the fall, because just as we didn't know 3 months ago how good the situation would be today, in the same way we don't know 3 months from now what kind of situation we're going to be in. It may be history by then. Maybe old news, it may not be, but I think we need to look at the fall when we're closer to the fall. But for right now, I would like to keep the mask requirement.
I mean, I don't disagree on waiting on that, but I mean, you know, it goes to if you believe the mask is ultimately going to stop everything, which that's where we disagree. I don't. I just think, you know, it's just not like just right now. I'm like touching it. I'll touch something else. I mean, it's just outside of the clinical setting. It's just not that. We disagree on that fact. I respect it. So we're all good.
So, I mean, I have a hard time taking the masking outside of the whole plan. So it has, to me, it's the whole plan. Like, holistically, what is the entire mitigation strategy? So when I think about it in those terms, that takes into account, you know, the other things that are being done in the classrooms, such as social distancing. So, I guess I guess I was just curious, you know, if you take out masking and you have the 3-foot social distancing in place, you know, can you actually get 3 feet between all of the students and the teacher? You know, just.
Okay, Mark. Well, I would just say that we have had 3 cases related to the middle school, and we had to quarantine around 30 people. And that's a 3-foot rule with masks. So that's within the last 2 weeks. So that just gives you information on that.
You know, that did impact one of our high school teachers that just came off of a quarantine, you know, within the last week. Actually, last week was the first week back. Looking at, you know, the history of I've had to make too many phone calls. I mean, I think I've made phone calls to some of you in this audience, and it's never, it hasn't been enjoyable once whatsoever. But I will say that we've really hit it right on some of these quarantines. Where we've quarantined kids because of exposure, there has been more exposure and there's been more sickness that's come from that, from the high school perspective and what's happened with us.
So I think the question about the distance that we can fit in the class, we can do 3 feet. We cannot do 6 feet and fit everyone in the class as we need to. We also had some recent cases, and the 3-foot rule with masks really benefited us where we had within a given class about 3 students that we had to quarantine around another student who had tested positive, and that we had 3 students, so it was times 3. So, you know, that number was ended up being about 13 total students, and that would have been significantly different if we're following the current policies that we have on quarantining had masks not been worn. But yeah, as far as your question, we can do 3 feet, we cannot do 6 feet.
There's 2 mics there, they're gonna have to talk more. Just
Do you guys have anything that you want to add, or?
I guess I called you, and I understand elementary parents that they've missed a lot of things, and as other parents have said, the high school has missed a lot of things. I hate that any of our kids have had to miss anything, but that better than last spring, at least they're getting to do some things. And so far, this plan has got us there. We've got 10 days, let's get it done with what we've gotten us here. And, you know, I can't speak to 3 months from now, but if I was starting 3 months from now, I would say we go back to school as normal. I think we've already discussed, and it was a couple board meetings ago, that we have no intention of virtual being a part of our school next year. Right?
That's correct.
So, and I think in our discussions of that, we were already looking at that. That's barring something like, you know, January through February here happening again. But we hope that vaccines and all of that will continue to push this trend down, and this will be our review year.
You know, tonight as first of all, thank you all for being here and giving us your thoughts and ideas. You know, as I listen to everyone tonight, and even the comments that I hear from my fellow board members, it's about choice. It's about choice. During this process over the last year, the only people that haven't had a choice seem to be the ones that want to be here at school without a mask on. Okay? You know, as I look at what we've done this year, we've allowed students to go virtual, and that's okay. If you're concerned, if someone, a parent, someone is concerned about contracting the virus because they might miss an activity, then they have that option to go virtual for the rest of the school year. I would hate to see our entire junior or senior class say, hey, I want to be out because I don't want to miss graduation. but they have that choice. Okay? And so I feel like, as Heather mentioned, it doesn't have to be an all or nothing, meaning we don't wear masks at all. But as all of us have been to a restaurant, we sit down, we take off our masks. We walk in with our masks, we take them off. If we need to go into the classroom, we can take off our masks. I think that's what we should be giving people the choice to do.
I just thank you for sharing that. I do want to add that I feel like everyone has a choice. If you don't like what is happening at school, we've had the option for virtual learning, and that can work for those who don't like the fact that kids are exposed. They can choose to go virtual. If there are those who don't like the fact that they have to wear masks, they can go virtual as well. So, but I think we need to stick to the return to learn plan, that's what we're discussing, is mask, not the choice that people have. Because there are a lot of choices. People also have the choice to, where they want to go to school. That's a different subject for a different day. Anyway, does anybody have another discussion, or do you want to make a motion, or do you just want to do it as is?
I would like to see something for our middle schoolers. I know it's just 2 weeks, but I am concerned about these kids remaining in masks 7 hours a day without breaks. That really bothers me. They don't get to go outside. I would like to find a solution. I know we talked, they're in the gym.
Yeah, so kids who want to participate in a sport or an activity on the floor are allowed to take masks down at that point. We've also started having an outside option if they would like to stay outside. I think we started last week. I would say that it's been, with weather, it's hit or miss because the area that we're using primarily is outside the high school library where the retention pond is on the west side of the futsal court, obviously. But like today, there was the option to go outside in front of the middle school on the west side as well. We had one of our recess monitors. The only thing that prohibits us from doing that would be some of them are test monitors or proctors as well, and so we're spread a little thin. But I've gone out there. I went to the recess today, but Miss Williford is also out of the picture for watching the lunchroom as well, and so when those things are thin, then we've had to modify that obviously, but we are trying to give them as many chances as possible to do that. I would say that for the most part too, as I'm walking the hallways, all I'm doing is this to just remind kids to make sure their mask is up, and I would tell you that we're trying to give them the opportunity. I've also offered, if it's been brought to my attention, to let their child go outside or for me to walk a kid outside and give them that opportunity to take a deep breath, because I get that. And so if I need to make that to make it the last 10 days, then I would do that.
Yeah, or if you need help with covering that, I mean, have we asked parents to help? I know they've been so gracious and kind to sign up to be substitutes. I hope we can be as, forward thinking about that. I know you tried. How many kids in the gym actually are playing on the floor? If you could give, is it hard to say?
A majority. But at this point, you're either making a decision to wear your mask and sit up on top, or to be on the floor and walk. I mean, technically, they could walk around and we wouldn't tell them to put their mask on because they're on the floor at that point. So you have the choice to be up in the stands, sitting and talking to your friends, and or outside most days, depending on the weather, and then on the floor, and at any of those opportunities, they can take them off. I would just echo how happy and excited we are about the bond deal, but there are some drawbacks for the middle schoolers, obviously, because we don't have the futsal court, and so we're trying to make do with what's best. We appreciate the high school has kind of moved activities out of there so that we can have the floor, because there are still times when they need it as well, and so Mark and I have had conversations about that and continue to have those so that we give kids the opportunity to have a recess and not just be sitting around as our effort.
Approval of item 4. I make a motion to modify item number 4 to allow masks to be worn or to be removed upon setting down at your desk in the classroom.
Marquez? Wait, I'm sorry, do we need, well, yeah, so the modification you're asking for, just for removal of masks in the seat in the classroom?
Students be able to remove their masks upon having a seat at their desk in their classroom. Upon getting up, they need to have them on as they're passing during class. Yes.
Another second to that, so can we have a roll call vote, please?
Marquez? No. Miller?
Yes.
Palmer?
No.
Pettit?
No.
Wallstaff?
Yes.
All right, we'll move on to item number 5.
Do you guys talk to any of the
That's
boards of
discussion
the private
and-
schools or anything like that
Sorry,
that haven't
sir.
worn masks all year? Do you
Number
guys
5,
discuss it with
discussion
the
and
boards?
possible action to approve or not to approve the performance services estimate for Bethany High School weight room platform. That's pages 1 and 2.
Is that ignoring, is that gonna not acknowledge that question?
So, sir, you're not on the agenda, we can't have a conversation. Thank you.
Okay.
So I have a question about this. What do we currently have on our gym floors?
John and Coach Martineau are going to talk to you a little bit, explain what we have. They've got a little PowerPoint that will actually has pictures of what we have and how it's running and what they propose to do. Somebody's given you, somebody's got this is it. Go ahead.
And I'll let Coach Martineau come in a minute. He does all of our strength and conditioning at for the district here at that facility. But just kind of looking at redoing the existing flooring that's been in place for, we've had this equipment since the indoor was built. I don't even know what year that was. I believe around 2000.
See how these are raised? We're talking about pulling that completely off, right?
2005, yes. Yeah, so what we'll end up doing, and there's some pictures of the new in a second, but just taking out the existing platforms that are raised. They're very dilapidated, as you can see in that one area. We've got some other areas where the wood's rotting. They all have wooden bases underneath. And Coach Forster, you can go to the next thing there. And so they're really in a place where this would give us the floor space that we have is usable only as a weight room. And so you'll kind of see in what we do here in just a second, we're going to have some, we would be able to use this facility and this space for many other things as opposed to just in a weight room setting. And then you can go ahead, Coach Forster, I think the next one. So as you see, we just have a little bit of an open space there in the middle, but then all of the areas with the raised platforms is not really usable for anything other than that those weightlifting exercises. And then if you go to the next one, Coach Forster, it'll kind of show you, looking at basically taking the raised platforms out. They would come in and put in a custom cutout section. It's the same flooring that we already have down. It would just be cutting out the places where the platforms are, dropping in a new cutout section there, which is a much higher density material, which absorbs weights and things like that, so that it doesn't dent or anything like that. And so it would replace those raised platforms that we've had. And then, as you can see from that, we would then have basically an entire room of usable floor space for other things. So in addition to the middle area, we would have basically the entire area up to the racks where the weight is stored would now be usable floor space for groups to use, not just in a weight room setting, but for running. It would obviously benefit us on cold days, and I'm going to let you talk a little more to that, Coach Forster.
Coach Forster, can you go back to one of those first slides, please? Guys, I saw Drew was pointing out, those, if you look close, you can see those platforms are not flush to the floor. Therefore, there are boards underneath it, so there's a little ridge under there, but there's probably about 4 inches all the way around it. And we go in there with a blower and with brooms, and we try to clean it out. What this will do, as much as anything, besides allowing us to use this thing, every sport to use it for agilities, for cheer, if cheer chooses to use something, a different flooring, all of those things, it will triple our usable space other than just weight room, because it'll be flat. But what it will also do is it really will cut down that on the dirt and the dust, bacteria, those things, because I can clean that. I can clean because it'll be one flat flooring. And so I can go in there, and we actually at one time had a machine that would clean that type of flooring. But the reason that we need the different type of flooring is because of the density. If you were to look real close at that gray flooring, there are dents in it where the weights have hit it. And that dense, the flooring that we're going to replace it with, or we'd like to replace it with, is much more dense, and it's designed for weights being dropped on and things like that. But all those benches can be raised up on their end, and all of those platforms, it would be a complete flat floor so that we could run, agility, every sport could use it. And obviously, like I said, I think one of the big things is just cleanliness, being able to keep MRSA and those kinds of things, bacteria.
Yeah, absolutely. Coach Marsh, with this type of flooring, we like to be the leader in Bethany. Are we going to be the first ones in the metro to have this, or who else has this?
Oh, no. Well, one of the schools I was at previously, UConn, they made their new facility and all of that, and the new facility is great, but yeah, that's how it has the flooring that we're talking about, the existing flooring. Coach Forster, can you go to the new slide there? It has, I'm sorry, go back one. Thank you. It has that exact type of flooring right there. At UConn, I believe, all the Edmond schools have gotten it. Piedmont, I know, has it, or at least the last I checked, that was one of the things that they were gearing towards with their new facilities.
How long do you anticipate that lasting?
And that's the good thing, is that on those existing platforms, there's wood under all the black rubber pads is wood, and it rotted. And then you saw the other wood coming up, but underneath those others, there's wood under there as well. And we've got parts of those black mats that literally you step in here and you go down because the wood is rotted. And so by taking all of that out, now it's just floor. You don't have things that are going to wear out.
She's asking how long this new
flooring
would
Yes.
okay.
You need to get rid of that.
No, I'm sorry for the confusion. No, I'm not I wouldn't know an exact term, but I do know that it's gonna be much denser than the existing flooring, and it should last 20, 30 years, honestly.
How old is this?
As old as the building is.
What?
How long was the existing
The
flooring?
current weightlifting platforms.
The current platforms?
Facility.
That building was built,
I think the weight room addition that we're talking about was put in place in about 2011.
Yeah, that's right.
About 2011, but we've had the platforms we had previously just in the indoor. Down at the end, I think we've had those since 2000, some since as early as 2002 or 2003.
And guys, those pictures that I took were about 18 months ago, almost 2 years ago that I took them. I had the Mondo flooring gentleman come out and just kind of give me a quote because I was putting together a wish list of things at some point I would like to do. And so those pictures are actually about 18 months ago, so it's gotten worse. And it will continue to, or things like that.
Yeah, I think the Mondo is where everybody's going when they build new facilities, just because it's a long-term option, 20 years or so. We've had the floor, it's the same company that did our current floor that's under the platforms. They came in and did that flooring when we built that weight room 10 years ago, and that flooring is still in good shape. There's a few places where a weight has fallen on it, which that's not what it's designed for, but the new areas will be. But that's what I think the biggest thing, and I don't know if we mentioned it yet, but I mean, it's a facility that on a yearly basis, I mean, between 300 and 400 kids in our district go through that in all the different sports they use that. High school, middle school kids, and so it's a widely used. He's got 6 hours strength and conditioning there. Middle school uses it in the mornings, and then of course we have 7th hour athletics and after school, many sports using that. So,
just to give you an example of the kids that use it, a month ago when we had our cold spell and it got so cold, my strength and conditioning kids who actually use that facility had to be moved to the gym because track, baseball, soccer are all out there at the same time, along with my off-season and strength and conditioning kids. And so they needed a place to get inside out of the cold. And so they had to go in there, and we had to come to the gym, and it was, we sat in the stands a little bit. We just did what we had to do. But this will allow those, that's okay, that we would probably have to do that anyway, but then that it would allow that usable floor space for the track, soccer, those kids to run and do agilities and things, along more with their sport.
Thank you.
Go ahead, yeah, go ahead.
What funds are this just coming out of, like, what fund?
General fund.
General fund?
I move approval of item 5. Second.
Roll call vote?
Marquez?
Yes.
Miller?
Yes.
Palmer?
Yes.
Pettit?
Yes.
Wallstaff?
Yes.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you. All right, let's move on to the consent agenda. Did anyone have any changes or anything to the minutes from our last meeting?
You can come up here if you want, or you can stay down there.
And it'll be Jennifer.
Okay, we're going to start with the financials on page 6. There's your activity fund summary from April. You can see we still have a little over $119,000 in outstanding encumbrances that will hopefully be closed in the next 3 weeks. Following that, on page 7 to 12 are all the different activity fund account details. Are there any questions on any of that? Okay, so page 13 starts your general fund revenue. Just starting at the top, the district sources taxes are at $38,000 from where we were last year. Interest is down $10,000, which we've kind of been talking about all year. The next 3 categories together are down $16,000, the reimbursement of the local and general fund revenue or refund. Also on that, keep in mind we usually do about $40,000 in foundation grants as a flow-through money that are in those. So we didn't do those this year, so we're really, if you take that 40,000 into consideration, we're really up in those areas. The district child nutrition is down 104,000, which again is because of the free meals for everyone. And they have extended that through next school year, so that area is going to continue to look low for the next school year as well. So total district sources, we are down 92,909 for the year. Then the intermediate county formula is up 19,000. Mortgage tax is up 22,000. So total intermediate revenue or collections is up 42,000 from where we were last year. And part of that is because of the tax deadlines getting moved. Down on the state, gross production is down 2,500. Motor vehicle is up 155,000. And again, that's the lawsuit that we were still paying on last year. School land is up 12,000. Vehicle stamp is down 300. Foundation and incentive is down 389,000. And the flexible benefit allowance is down 14,000. So total state collections are down 251,000 from where we were last year. On that balance column, just keep in mind, once it gets to zero, it just means that we've met our appropriated or estimated needs amount for the year. So that's what we want to see, that we did like everything we intended to. And that's in most of the categories. Page 14 is the federal collections. The only thing that has changed on that since last month is the federal child nutrition, which is where you see those free meals for everyone revenue coming in. So that is actually up 26,000 from last month, which is a month claim. So total, we are up 231,000 from where we were last year in that category. So our grand total revenue for collections is down 119,000 overall. Questions about any of that? Okay, page 15 starts the encumbrances for board approval. I have just kind of highlighted on mine the bigger numbers over 2,000. So I'll breeze through those, and then if you have questions, just stop me at any time and ask. PO 633 is the science curriculum for the middle school. It's 34,000. Sierra Harrington is the 623 federal set aside that we do. So she comes out and interacts with our kiddos. 646 to Beckett Brothers flooring is to come in when school's out and refinish both gym floors. PO 649 to Toronto Consulting is a smart board that Indian education funds are being used for. 651 to Best Buy is a MacBook Pro for our superintendent who has quit on him and he needed a new one. 657 are new football headsets. 658 to Apple is a live streaming MacBook, which we need to live stream these meetings. 659 Real Media FX is $12,000 for video production, which includes live streaming. 661 to Thompson's is the high school science curriculum for $46,000. 663 to Apple is a 5-pack of MacBook Airs for the 3rd grade teachers. 668 to Summer One, the elementary is purchasing a new Rizzo machine for copies. 670 to Impressions is the vinyl wrap for the new van, and it will match the other one that we have done. 671 to Thompson's is the elementary science curriculum for $37,000. 673 to Staples are Chromebooks and a Surface tablet for the middle school for $87.96. 674 to Best Buy are 2 Joey carts for Chromebooks that Indian Ed is purchasing. 676 to Staples are Chromebooks to go in those carts for the Indian Ed students. And then 677 is the PO for the weight room platform flooring that you just heard about. So total science curriculum is $117,611.56. Our textbook funds this year were $81,389.32. So just to give you an idea, just to update that one section of curriculum will cost the general fund $36,222.24. Any questions about any of those? Okay. Page 18.
Oh, Jennifer, sorry. I had a question, and you probably said it, but I missed it. On the football headsets, item number 657 or PO 657, is that just coming out of the general fund?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, page 18 is a PO out of the sinking fund to pay interest on the bond that we just passed in 2020. Page 19 is the function summary for the general fund. So if you add together our encumbered and spent for the year, we're at 85.9% of our appropriated amount. Last year at this time, we were at 88.08%. So we are down 2.18% from where we were last year. Page 20 is the building fund function summary. There's no activity since last month. Page 21 is the bond fund. And again, there's no activity since last month on that either. Page 22 is the sinking fund function summary. We did deposit $46,717 in ad valorem taxes this month. And that encumbered amount, the $94.35, is the PO that we're requesting for approval to pay the interest payment. Questions about any of those? Okay, and then page 23 to 25 are just additional requests. I think they're all expenditures for different activity funds, like art, band, and orchestra.
For the motion to approve.
Move approval items 6A through D.
Roll call vote.
Marquez?
Yes.
Miller?
Yes.
Palmer?
Yes.
Pettit?
Yes.
Wallstaff?
Yes.
Okay, we'll move on to item number 7, staff reports. Special Services, congratulations on that OETT grant. That's another big deal.
Thank you. That's a district-wide, so it's not just special services. All sites will benefit from that. We actually had a Zoom meeting today with the officials from the K-20 Center and talked about that. And Mr. Forrester and Mary Pace was on that Zoom call with me today. And so we're going to have a lot of professional development coming into next year. But as you know, our district has been extremely fortunate. When I was the middle school principal in 2014-15, that's when we had the OETT grant at that point, and prior to that, Dr. Wintroth had it at the high school, and so just recently the elementary had it. So now to have it as a district-wide, we're really excited. So it's going to be good for kids.
So our open transfer process is just going to go as it has been normally? Are we just opening it up online? It's no different? And we'll just wait till January or 2022 before we...
Well, this board will have to set some policies between now and January. We'll probably do that. Andy may have them ready in August or so. We don't know. OSSBA is working on a policy. Andy usually works on one. We always take our policies from Andy. So when he gives us something, then he'll be here that night. He'll bring it to you guys, explain it to you, And if you have anything that you want to do differently, then we'll see if it's legal. If it's legal, we'll do it. If it's not, we won't. But he'll pretty much just put in what the law requires. And the law officially starts in January of 22, January 1st of 22.
Yeah. Okay. Ruben, how have in-district pre-K enrollments been? And I guess kindergarten?
Yes, so typically, are you talking about for this year so
Yes,
far, or just
yes.
typically? Okay.
So far for this year.
Yeah, for this year so far, pre-K, we're at around 20. That's give or take a couple here and there may have enrolled since then. Kindergarten, I believe we are around 12, I believe. That could be a little bit off, but right around there. It's typical numbers that we would normally see are what we're seeing this year. So.
Also, on May 15th, we are going to have a spring fling at the middle school. So just so you guys know, and that will be outside the middle school. And if anybody would like to be in the dunk tank, I invite you to go ahead and be a part, but that way we can be outside with no masks. And so we're trying to do that for kids and we'll have a DJ and some stuff outside. And then also we're going to have Bronco games next week since they haven't got to do those this year. So each grade level will be in the high school gym in the afternoon after the COGAT next week. So each group will get to experience those as well.
Good. Yeah. So you're doing that spring fling, because you didn't get to do your banquet, you didn't do your banquet?
Yeah, we didn't do our banquet this year because it was typically it's in March, early March.
February,
and so,
yeah.
February. So we were still in the middle of a bunch of stuff. And so the other thing that we hadn't gone through was our PTO typically meets that and plans and does donations and things like that. And so we had a conversation about 2 weeks ago, and so I've had some parents just say, we got this, and start setting it up and get all those things in line. And with some parent volunteers, then we'll be selling tickets and that kind of stuff and get them ready for next weekend. So.
Thank you for doing that for the kids, for working to make sure that happens.
Thank you.
They'll appreciate it.
Can I add something to my report that just happened today? So we have Teacher Appreciation Week this week, and I just have to say my PTO is very creative, and they came up with some theme days, and today's was my teacher helps me grow, and then the theme was bring your teacher a flower or a picture of a flower. We had more flowers come to school today than I think you would see at Home Depot if you went to go buy some. It was just incredible how our parents just rose up to appreciate our teachers. They had breakfast, they had lunch, flowers. I mean, it was incredible, and this is just day one. So not in my report because that hadn't happened yet, but man, I was just blown away by the response for the start of Teacher Appreciation Week. So I want to give them some credit.
It does make all the difference, you know, when you're appreciated.
Absolutely.
High school SWAT day was a success. I heard a lot about that, spike ball tournament and so forth. So thank you too at the high school for making sure that happened.
We got all the ceiling tiles kind of lined back up too. Kind of.
I was just going to add, Mark, that's an impressive number of AP tests that will be taken over the course of the next.
We start that tomorrow, and I think we had a 3-page high school report there, but we got our ACT results in, and you know, I kind of put that statistic. The last class of graduates that was not affected by COVID, that took the ACT, was 2019. They scored a 19.5. This class scored a 19.8. And that was the spring that was interrupted with COVID, AB schedule, distance learning, ice storm, electrical power outages in the district, you know, snowmageddon, freezing temperatures, record, you know, decades. So you always want to, you know, set that bar high, but, you know, that was our concern. I think you look at that gap and how big is it going to be, but I was impressed with that test score. I think it says a lot for what our teachers have tried to do.
all that you do. Let's move on to item number 8. Discussion and possible action to approve or not to approve the United Systems quote for Dell R440 server refresh for fiscal year 21.
Same thing with that.
Me?
No, I was talking to.
You want anything?
Oh, yeah. Yep. Sorry. Yes, so our current server environment is running, basically it's really outdated. It's running Microsoft Server 2008, which no longer has a January, has patches to fix things that go wrong, or if there is any compromises that arise with any, outside. We were in a meeting just last week talking with Alex at United Systems, and I've had many conversations with Alvin at United Systems, the president over there, and just about cybersecurity and intrusions from outside sources. And it's really important, I think, to keep our environment up to date. And this new server will allow us to continue those upgrades and keep our environment monitored in a better fashion.
Adam?
Yeah.
So we run with a single server and then virtualize several, I assume?
Yes, we have a...
What type of redundancy is this doing?
We are backed up on site, but we, United Systems, since we're going with their United Complete option, we have several backup servers off site at their facility as well. So, yes, in the cloud. And we are moving our financial system to the cloud, and Jennifer could probably add more to that, but that is all getting backed up away from our system, or away from our environment. And we are also, our security cameras are backed up away from our environment, and our Infinite Campus server, we're no longer housing that on campus as of this year, and that's going to be moved to the cloud as well. So
that's taking some of the load off?
That's taking some of the load off, but we still use it for every device that connects, and every device that needs an IP address goes through our server and kind of has to go through our firewall to get to the internet, basically. So it's important to kind of keep that up to date.
Yeah, I was just curious whether this was one of our servers or the server.
Yes, it is the server, yes.
Okay.
Move approval of item 8.
Second.
Roll call vote. Marquez?
Yes.
Miller?
Yes.
Palmer?
Yes.
Pettit?
Yes.
Wallstad?
Yes.
All right, item number 9, discussion and possible action to approve or not to approve the Bethany First Church of the Nazarene Facilities Use Agreement for AP testing May 2021.
Yeah, move approval item 9. Second.
Roll call vote.
Marquez?
Yes.
Miller?
Yes.
Palmer?
Yes.
Pettit?
Yes.
Wallstad?
Yes.
Item number 10, discussion and possible action to approve or not to approve the following contracts agreements for fiscal year 22. A, Class Tag Connect Enterprise Subscription Renewal. B, Oklahoma State Department of Health NECHIP contract renewal for October 1st, 2021 to September 30th, 2022. C, Oklahoma State School Boards Association agreements. 1, Employment Services Agreement. 2, Membership Renewal. 3, Policy Subscription Renewal. D, Quality Care Labs LLC Service Agreement for Drug and Alcohol Testing. E, TechNow Site Agreement and Visual Census for Educational Consulting.
Remind me, what is class tag? What do we do with class tag?
That's elementary.
So in the past, we have had different teachers use different platforms. Some are called Blooms. You may have heard of this before, but it's basically like a class site where they can send out messages to their parents. They can post pictures of things going on in the class. But we had a mixed variety of what people were using. Class tag is the same thing, but it was school-wide. We did that because we wanted to be consistent with communication, especially in this particular year. And so we just had everybody go. We piloted it actually, so it was free to us this year. What we have found through that is that it was nice that parents had one place to log in to access all their kids, but also we were able to track who actually read the messages. So if we had a notification that needed to go out about a class being quarantined or something like that, we could actually see who read that message. Amongst other benefits that we saw this year, the pilot was a great success, and so At this point, I would say just with the consistency between parents and not just having several different platforms depending on what class or what grade or what teacher they have, it was just great. And then they're adding a few more features on next year that should make it even better. But we've been really, really happy with what it's done for our school with communication. So yeah, that's what Class A is.
Thank you.
Approval item.
Second.
Roll call vote.
Marquez? Yes. Miller? Yes. Palmer? Yes. Pettit?
Yes.
Walstad?
Yes.
Item number 11, discussion and possible action to approve or not to approve the Oklahoma State Department of Education statutory waiver and regulation application for school year 2021-2022.
I'll let Matt talk about this for a minute.
So just real quick, the State Department, they come out every year and evaluate our alternative education program. And they came out about a month ago. Mr. Williams kind of runs that program for us at the high school. We were identified as an effective alternative education program. However, we have less than 10 students that are in the program. And if you are under 10, you have to either co-op with another school district, or we have to go through this process for a waiver. And we're asking for a 3-year waiver with the State Department. We're not sure moving forward. Obviously, this has been an interesting year for all of us. We're not sure as we move forward if those numbers will increase. In the past, the State Department's allowed us to use the numbers with our credit recovery students and also students that are just in alt ed, but they've changed that. So with this, we will see if we can get a 3-year waiver, and then as we move forward, kind of assess the program and make some decisions moving forward.
Item 11. Right. Roll call vote. Marquez? Yes. Miller? Yes. Palmer? Yes. Pettit?
Yes.
Walstad?
Yes.
Item number 12, discussion and possible action to approve or not to approve opening positions for summer maintenance as needed to prepare for the 2021-22 school year as funds are available.
The painting thing that we do in the summer, just standard.
Approval item 12. Roll call vote. Marquez? Yes. Miller? Yes. Palmer? Yes. Pettit?
Yes.
Walstad?
Yes.
Item number 13, discussion and possible action to approve or not to approve opening positions for extended school year not to exceed 7 teacher positions, 4 teacher assistant positions, 2 school nurse positions, all contingent upon student enrollment, and 2 teacher positions for Summer Reading Academy to stay in compliance with the Reading Sufficiency Act.
So our kids that are on an IEP, if that IEP says that they will have an extended school year, meaning some school in the summer, we have to provide that. It's not, we want to provide it. I mean, we didn't want to provide it for them. What I'm saying is, it is a federal requirement that we do that. So we do this every year. This is not a new requirement. This is what we do. And then same thing with the RSA, the 2 teachers for that. And we pay for that out of RSA funds that the State Department provides each year. So what I'm telling you is we're doing the same thing that we've done in the past.
Approval item 13. Roll call vote. Marquez? Yes. Miller? Yes. Palmer? Yes. Pettit?
Yes.
Walstad?
Yes.
Item number 14, discussion and possible action to approve or not to approve offering 10 hours of curriculum development for ESY teachers, maximum of 7 at $20 per hour.
Basically the same.
Approval item 15.
Second. Roll call vote. Marquez? Yes. Miller? Yes. Palmer? Yes. Pettit?
Yes.
Walstad?
Yes.
Item number 15, discussion and possible action to approve or not to approve the following out-of-town, out-of-state overnight trips as submitted to be paid from the corresponding activity funds. A, band to attend Oklahoma Small School All-State Band in Elgin, Oklahoma on May 13th through 15th, 2021. B, high school and middle school girls basketball to attend the Oral Roberts University Team Camp in Tulsa, Oklahoma on June 14th through 16th, 2021. C, any members of the high school and or middle school coaching staff to attend the Oklahoma Coaches Association.
Second.
Roll call vote.
Marquez.
Yes.
Miller.
Yes.
Palmer.
Yes.
Pettit.
Yes.
Walston.
Yes.
And this is a long one, and I have to say I'm thankful that we have all these things on here to vote on, as long as it is. All right, item 16, discussion and possible action to approve or not to approve the following 2021 summer events activities with the use of school transportation and any expenses to be paid from the corresponding activity fund. A, high school girls basketball team to attend Perkins Girls Basketball Team Camp, May 26th through 27th in Perkins, Oklahoma. B, girls basketball team camp to hold a basketball champions camp, June 1st through 3rd, for boys and girls grades 2nd through 7th. C, high school and middle school girls basketball teams to attend Pauls Valley Girls Basketball Team Camp, June 7th through 9th in Pauls Valley, Oklahoma. D, football program to attend Purcell Football Team Camp, May 19th through 20th in Purcell, Oklahoma. E, boys basketball to attend Edmond Memorial Summer League, June 1st through 30th in Edmond, Oklahoma. F, high school boys basketball to attend University of Oklahoma Boys Basketball Team Camp, June 21st through 23rd in Edmond, Oklahoma. G, baseball to participate in the Red Dirt League, May 24th through June 26th. H, baseball to hold a baseball camp, May 24th through 27th at a cost of $40 per player, ages 6 through 18. I, prom to participate in the following summer events. Leaps and Turns Camp, June 1st through 3rd at the high school. Number 2, Oklahoma City Storm Palm Team Camp, June 4th at Movement OKC in Oklahoma City, Oklahoma. Number 3, Palm Summer Practice, June 10th, 17th, 24th, July 8th, and 15th at High School Corral. Number 4, Bethany High School Palm Camp, July 26th through 30th at the High School Corral. And number 5, Palm Car Wash, July 31st at Stray Dog in Bethany, Oklahoma. Okay, and we'll change number F. Item F needs to be located at University of Central Oklahoma.
I move approval. Item 16, all of that.
Second.
Roll call vote.
Marquez.
Yes.
Miller.
Yes.
Palmer.
Yes.
Pettit.
Yes.
Walston.
Yes.
Get these kids going and doing. All right. Do we have a motion to go into executive session?
So moved.
Roll call votes.
Miller.
Yes.
Marquez.
Yes.
Palmer.
Yes.
Pettit.
Yes.
Walston.
Yes.
through S with the modification of adding Ashley Ternius on item J and tabling item L for the June meeting.
Second.
Roll call vote.
Marcus?
Yes.
Miller?
Yes.
Palmer?
Yes.
Pettit?
Yes.
Walker.
Yes.
Okay, new business. Do we have any?
We have none.
Okay, great. Move on to number 19, information items.
Staff cookout Wednesday, hope you guys can come. It'll be in the Bronco Corral instead of in front of the middle school. Like party on the 18th at New Church and graduation on the 21st. Where we back to the BFC.
Quick question on the cookout. What are the hours? Like what you're gonna run that?
11:30 to 1.
11:30 to 1. Okay.
All right. Does anyone have any comments?
I just appreciate those who came tonight to talk and just also just the nature, how everybody presented, and I mean I appreciated it. It was, everybody did a nice job. So.
I would agree with that. I wish that I made it more clear in my comments. It's just such nice people, respectful, thankful. It was good. I mean, and that's why I say I like this process. I use painful. I know it's not fun, but it's just these things are good for our community to be able to enforce that. And I appreciate our parents a lot. They've been good.
I would echo Heather's thoughts, or comments, Heather and Courtney's comments. Public comments is something that I've supported and have requested a number of times. So Angela, thank you for granting that this time, and Drew as well. I appreciate that.
All right. Superintendent's report.
I'll make this quick. It's hard to believe that before we meet again, we will have graduated the class of 2021. Graduation will return to Bethany First Church on Friday, May 21st at 7 p.m. Traditionally, we have board members who have graduating seniors dress the graduating class. This year, we have no board members with graduating seniors, so Mr. Melton and his team asked two teachers to address the class. Lisa Tackett and Dan Christopherson will deliver the commencement addresses for the seniors of 2021. And I told you earlier that the baccalaureate is Tuesday the 18th at 7 p.m. at New Church. That concludes my report.
Thank you. We have a motion to adjourn. So moved.
Second.
Roll call vote.
Marquez?
Yes.
Miller?
Yes.
Palmer?
Yes.
Pettit?
Yes.
Wellstat?
Yes.
Thank you, everybody.